it's been said over the past month, I've heard this quite a few times, and I've heard this saying long before this month. But what I went to a Healing Place commencement not too long ago, and Marilyn stood up and she said that it takes a village to raise a family, and then she was like, I believe it takes a whole community to combat this disease. You know, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what she said. And then it was said again last night, and it was said again tonight, well, this morning, and that holds true. You know, I got when I got clean and I commenced through the Healing Place, I got custody of my two youngest at the time right away. Single father, so I think I need to get a single fathers group, like the mother group, because believe me, I don't know what I'm doing half the time. But so I got custody of my two, and I was raising them, and I struggled with it, and I kept wanting to do it all by myself, and I didn't want help, and it was like I, and that's how it was as me being this father. And then, you know, I reached out to some people in my support group, and they told me, you don't got to do this alone. You know, you can get help with this. And that's how this disease, that's how we need to combat this disease. That's how we need to combat this illness of substance use disorder. Like, there is no big eyes in it. Like, we need to come together. So like, I'm just honored and privileged to be up here talking about it, but I'm just so great. Like, I'm full of gratitude to see people come together and try to do that, you know, because everybody, and me and hopefully the next sheriff in Rankin County, we were talking prior to this, and you know, we're talking about how everybody wants to be the I, and everybody wants to get the pat on the back and say, I invented this and I did this and I did that, and that's not what it's about. Like, we got to come together as a community. You know, there's no better organization. And I want to share a little bit about my story. I know we're pressed for time because everybody's got to get somewhere. And the reason why I want to share my story is because I went through the Healing Place. Like, I'm a testament, a living testament of what the Healing Place can do. You know, and I love that organization. It gave me a pathway to recovery. It gave me the tools and the ability to become a COO of McShin Foundation. You know, and now I'm blessed. Like, when I heard Tiffany and Honesty up here talking about these two organizations, I'm like, man, I'm blessed to be a part of both of them. Like, you know, because all we want to do is help. You know, and I don't know if y'all are a part of any administrative team. We got an administrative team at the McShin Foundation, and it's me, Honesty, and John Shinholzer, and we meet weekly, and sometimes we don't see eye to eye. Trust me on that one. And if y'all know anybody that knows John Shinholzer, sometimes everybody doesn't see eye to eye with him. But I will say one thing. At the end of the day, he wants to help the sick and suffering. At the end of the day, that's all we want to do at McShin. And I can tell you this, at the end of the day, that's all the Healing Place, CARITAS, wants to do. We just want to help, you know. We want to come together and help and find ways and means. When I was using, I used heroin, alcohol, crack, I did it all, but I always reverted to the needle and shot dope. And when I was using, I found ways and means to get more. That's what I did. I woke up to use, before I brushed my teeth, before I used the bathroom, before I ate my meal, I fixed my shot of dope. Like, my story, I ended up relocating from Richmond down to Hopewell. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with the relocate. It's not really much of a relocation, right? But what I did is I moved down to Hopewell, and every other day I drove from Hopewell back to Richmond to get my dope. And I had custody of my son at the time. And I share this with y'all because this is one of those moments where it was like, all right, Jesse, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Because, like, this is where the disease brought me. It brought me to doing everything and anything I can to get the next one. And I'll never forget this moment. I had just got some heroin, and you know, I was fixing my shot, is what we call it, when I was running out. It's been so long, but I was fixing my shot, and when I was doing this, my son was right next to me in his car seat. And I always told him, because I took him everywhere. I was a terrible dad at the time. And I would always tell him, Daddy's just sick, he's taking medicine. And so this one time, I was turned over to the side, and I'm fixing my shot, and I get a tap on my shoulder, and I hear, Daddy, I'm sick, I want some medicine. Like, that's where the disease brought me. you know. And so in saying that, you know, now that I'm clean, like, we got to come together and find ways and means to come together and recover. Like, that's what we have to do. We got to stop fighting each other. I went, you know, and shortly after that, not long after that, I ended up at the steps of the healing place. And I went into that program, and I threw my hands up. Every day I threw my hands up and said, somebody help me. You know, somebody help me, somebody help me. I can't do this. You know, I need help. And I remember I was probably about 2 weeks in, and I was sitting at the back of the table in this cafeteria. Really, to be honest, like, and not to describe, I don't know if you've been into the healing place, but to describe it, it's a homeless shelter, but it's got a beautiful program in it for people that want it. So this kitchen, this dining room, whatever you want, a cafeteria, is treated like a soup kitchen for the most part. When I was coming through, I don't know how, because it's evolved since I've been there, right? But anybody can come off the street and come in and get a meal. And so you're there, and a lot of times those people that are coming off the street are active, they're actively using. So you get to see, look, if I go back out and use, this is what's going to happen. And I remember sitting at this table, and they had a commencement, is what they call them. There was these guys, and they had shirts and ties, and they were getting ready to, you know, get up and speak, and all I seen was an attraction for me. I was like, man, I want to be that guy. You know, I'm a 12-time felon. Like, I've been to prison. Like, my story was prison, jail, prison, jail, prison, jail. You know, that's what kept happening with me. And I seen these guys in shirts and ties, and I was attracted to that. And I said, I'm going to stay, and I'm going to complete. I'm going to do what they did. And that's what I did. You know, I stayed, I completed it, and then I became an HR director of a healthcare facility. But right before I became an HR director, and Karen Stanley's not here, and I would like sing her praise and thank her, and y'all can pass this on to her. She gave me my first shot. I'm a 12-time felon, and I wanted to work in this field, and she gave me my first shot working in the field, in recovery. You know, I emailed her, like, I was getting pushback about my record and working there, and I emailed her, and I was like, I know I don't got barrier crimes. I know I don't have barrier crimes, and I got a record, it's big, but no barrier crimes. And I emailed her, and she allowed me to work there. But, you know, for anybody that works in this field, you know, starting out, you don't get paid a lot, and I got custody of my kids, and I had to find another job, and I used the things that I learned in, was it 4 parts of the program there now? Because it was 3 at one time when I was there. It's just evolving. I learned, when I went through the life skills class, I learned some valuable tools, and I took that, and I went and got a job. And I don't have a degree. Y'all got to understand, like, I don't have a degree. No, now I've got some education. Like, I've gotten some education. McShin is paid from, I just went and took a 3-day training that gave me a certification to train other trainers. That's a state certification, and it's paid for. You know, but I got this, I had to go out and get this job, and no degree, and so, you know, I'm struggling, and I go back to what I did all my life, which was maintenance in healthcare. I worked in healthcare, so I was familiar with doctors, nurses. I was familiar with the healthcare environment, and I got this job there. 2 weeks into the job, I got hired on as the HR director. Like, it's unheard of. Like, I'm telling you, it's unheard of. Like, it literally, that stuff like that is unheard of. You got to have usually a master's degree to be an HR director. You know, and I don't even have a bachelor's degree. I just used the tools that I learned, and then my hard work, you know, showing up early, staying late, allowed me to keep that job for 5 years. And then like, you know, I got blessed, man, and I have been known honesty for a long time, just from recovery, because we're both in recovery, and I got blessed, man. You know, I reached out to her, I heard some things, you know, and I reached out to her, and like, she took a risk on me and gave me an opportunity, and, you know, thank you for that, because, you know, I don't know where I would be without McShin now. You know, now I got a career that I love. Granted, I love what I was doing before, but I love this. Like, I get to come to work every day, boots on the ground, like, sitting across from somebody just like me, and I get to help them, or at least try to help them, you know, and honestly talked about it. Sometimes it's hard, because sometimes I got to say we can't do anything. You know, let me see if I can get you here. Let me see if I can get you there. You know, so like I'm truly blessed. You know, through this process, like the hardest 6 months of my life happened while I was at the McShin Foundation working. And I've been at the McShin almost 2 years now, and it wasn't nothing to do with McShin. I lost my son as a direct result of substance use. I'm talking, as a direct result of this, I lost my son. And I had just started at the McShin Foundation. I had probably been in there 4 months, 3 months, and I had to literally, I couldn't work. You know, I couldn't work, and they stood by me. No company does that. You know, normally you're gonna be gone. You know, they stood by. Not only did they stand by me, I got a knock on my door with a check and said, "Here, use this for you to use this." You know, that's what happened at this company. I love the McShin Foundation. You know, that I'm blessed to be a part of a wonderful organization, and I wouldn't have been in that organization if it wasn't for this you know, for the other. So like, it's just this stuff, man. The way God works in my life. You know, sometimes it's hard for me to put it into words, and sometimes I gotta pinch myself. Like, and I don't. You know, what I know today is, yes, I'm a person in long-term recovery from substance use disorder, and I haven't found it necessary to use for 7.5 years, and I'm proud of that, right? But I don't even got to define myself with that anymore. Like I'm the chief operating officer of the McShin Foundation, right? You know, but this month is recovery month. This month is our month, like us in recovery. I don't know who else is in recovery out here. Me, I know honesty is, and I know I am. This is our month. Like, this is our month where we can get out here and say, look, this thing is real. Like, we die from it every day. Like, it's real. Like, we see it. And I know at the healing place that when I was in the healing place, people were dying from it. So it's nothing new. Like, what's happening now is not new. This has been happening for centuries, for a long time. You know, and this is my piece, just because it hits a certain demographic of people, all of a sudden it's new. No, it's not new, everybody. This has been happening for a long time. So now we got to come together and do something about it. That's what we have to do. You know, so I want to close with this. I want to share. I don't know if y'all know who Roger Bannister is. Yeah. All right. So Roger Bannister was the first person to ever run a mile under 4 flat. Ran a mile under 4 flat. He did it in like 3 minutes and 58 seconds or something like that. 46 days after he did it, it got broke. And it got broke again, and it got broke again. And now there's thousands of people that run a mile under 4 flat. This is recovery month, right? What Roger Bannister did is he gave hope to people. Hey, he can run a mile under 4 flat. I can run a mile under 4 flat. September, like when you see us, we recover. Like the lie is dead. Like once an addict, always an addict, it don't hold true no more. Like I'm a living testament of it. Honesty is a living testament of it. We recover. Like we do, and that's what's so important about this month, right? That's why we got to get out here and we got to advocate. We got to come together, join forces, and let everybody know, hey, look, we can recover from this disease, you know, and together we can recover from this disease. Thanks, y'all.